Workaholics, and welcome back to another reading vlog. This week I am getting through all of my jar picks. At the beginning of the month in my TBR video, I did have my jars pick books for me. I do roll a four-sided die that helps me select how many of the books I need to pull from this jar. I have a series jar, which I have already read. I read Red Rising, which is in my previous vlog, last week's vlog. And I had to pull 4 from this jar, which is a miscellaneous jar. And I've not read those yet. So I figured I would dedicate a vlog to reading through the stuff that my jar has picked for me. So as I said, I have 4 books. I have 2 digital books, one of which is Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher, which is a fantasy, maybe with a slight hinge of horror retelling, which will, I imagine, have at least a certain level of humour because T. Kingfisher. And I also have A Reign of Emerald Fire by Matthew J. Turner, which was sent to me by the author. And this one is, I believe, a humorous epic fantasy. Very excited for both of those. And then I have 2 physical ones. I have Homecoming by Kate Morton, which is a dual timeline historical contemporary mashup that has a mystery undertone to it. And I'm excited to give this one a try. It'll be my first Kate Morton. And then I also have La Mano de Fatima by Ildefonso Falcones, which is a Spanish book. It's The Hand of Fatima, which has been translated. There is an English version of this, and this one is the 1500s in Spain during the takeover of the Catholic Church on the Iberian Peninsula. This one I have actually already started. I started it last night. I've divided this book up into 7 sections because it is over 900 pages. It is 945 pages long, so I figured I needed to get a bit of a wiggle on. So I've divided it into 7 parts that are all approximately 130 something pages so that I can actually get through it in a timely manner. So as I said, I have already read one of the sections. I am on page 132. I am liking it. Obviously, with a book this size, 132 pages is next to nothing. So not a huge amount has happened. We've just kind of established some characters and established the atmosphere and the vibes. So I am excited to continue. I've read La Reina Descalza, the Barefooted Queen by this author before and really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to continue on reading through his works. This is one I'm a little bit hesitant about. It is going to be the next one I start, hence the bookmark. I'm a bit hesitant about this one because I don't know if it's going to be my thing or not, but I'm just excited to try something new, and I thought this would be a fun way to do so. So I thought I'll go dive into this and see where I fall. She's an author I've been wanting to try, so why not? So that's my Sunday sorted. I'm going to read the next section of La Mano de Fatima, and I'm hopefully going to start Homecoming, and then I'll be able to come back to you with some thoughts. The synopsis for Homecoming is we have 2 timelines. We have one in 1959, which is in Adelaide in Australia, and we have the police are called into this small town because a heinous crime has happened. We're also following a timeline in London in 2018 in which a young Australian woman is now living in London, and she is in search of a story because she's a journalist, and then she is called back to Australia because she needs to go help out, I think it's her grandmother, her grandmother, who has been in hospital, so she's going to go help maintain her house and take care of her grandmother. And then she discovers a personal link to this crime that we're seeing unfold in 1959. I'm excited for the dual timeline, so you're seeing it happen in real time, and then also I imagine what the protagonist is uncovering and then the way we can connect the dots. It sounds fun, and hopefully I enjoy it. It is rather chunky, but I'm hoping I enjoy it nonetheless. So I will report back, probably tomorrow because it's Sunday and I'm spending it with my children. I will report back tomorrow with some further thoughts on both of these. So this vlog is not starting out quite the way I wanted it to. We have already got a DNF. I didn't get very far into this at all. I got to page 31. The way that it builds suspense is a way that I don't like. I don't like suspense that is built through omission, which is basically I'm just going to throw you in. I'm going to start talking a little bit cryptically, like, and she did this, and then as soon as she knew it, this would happen, and like it's done in this really cryptic way of just like, I'm going to just start talking to you about this person's life that you've never heard of before, you've never been interested in before. I'm just going to start talking, and then at some point some of the things I say are going to be important to you. It just doesn't work for me as a way to build tension within a mystery. And the first 2 sections, so that the first part of this, which is the first 31 pages, is literally just that. It's just I'm going to introduce these characters and what's going on in their lives, and it's going to be like, well, she was expecting this parcel and then it turned out that it wasn't the postman that was bringing it, and like things like that. And it's like, that's not interesting to me. that doesn't build tension for me. So I just kind of know from the writing style of the first 30 pages that this is not going to be what works for me. So therefore, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get all of my Kate Morton books. Bear with me. All right, I have 3 other Kate Morton books: The Secret Keeper, The Distant Hours, and The House at Riverton. So I'm going to take all 3 of these and I'm going to read the first 50-ish pages, or wherever is a sensible place to stop at around the 50-page mark. And I'm going to see if I like them. If I like them, they go back on the shelf. If I don't, then I just unhaul all of Kate Morton, because obviously with it being a writing style issue and all of these having a mystery element, I'm going to see if it is something that is exclusive to Homecoming or something that I am finding with all of her works. And then that way it just clears some space on my shelf and I can focus on other things, and I can take these out of the jars and it's just less things to think about. That's what I'm going to do. A Kate Morton taste test session after DNFing Homecoming, and in the meantime I'm going to digitally be reading A Reign of Emerald Fire, and I'm going to continue with my read of La Mano de Fatima. Good morning, vlog. It is Monday morning, and today is the day that we are going to try a chapter of Kate Morton books. I'm just going to go through these and give you my thoughts on the first 50 or so pages, and we'll see if any of them stay or if they all end up going. The first one I'm going to start with is The Secret Keeper, and this one is divided between 1961 and 2011. It is about a young woman who in her mid to late teens witnesses a crime, and then many years later is a much loved actress and is still haunted by what she witnessed in the past. So we're going to go see how I feel about this one, and I will get back to you when I'm done. So I actually only ended up reading chapter 1. I didn't read the 50 pages. I just tried the first chapter of this one, and we had literally almost an exact same issue with this one as I had with Homecoming. We literally had this, oh, and the package arrived and she'd need to check it later, and it's like, what's with packages? Packages are really not that mysterious. Maybe because I'm a serial online purchaser and therefore all of my belongings that I ever purchase arrive in packages, but packages are really not that interesting. You cannot make me want to keep reading just because there's a package and we don't know its contents yet. I don't care. So it's just a girl describing the summer, which is well written, it's nice, and then I can tell already by the fact that she'll mention something and then not continue talking about it. That's how you're planning on building suspense and intrigue throughout the whole book. You're going to mention something and then just leave it there and then continue to talk about something else, and we'll come back to that later. And that's supposed to make me anticipate. It's supposed to make me be like, I want to know what's in the package. I want to know what she was doing. I want to know why she was in the kitchen or whatever. And it doesn't work for me. I hate that kind of mystery and tension building. And while I understand its appeal, it just doesn't work for me. All it serves is to frustrate me and make me want to skip ahead. That's already showing in here. So it doesn't bode well for the other two. I think the one that is potentially going to have the best chance is The House at Riverton, because I've heard it compared to like a murder mystery Downton Abbey, but it's not looking good for the books, I'm not gonna lie. So I have 2 left, so that is a no on The Secret Keeper. So I think we'll go on to The Distant Hours next. We'll leave the most anticipated one till the end. So we'll go on to The Distant Hours. The Distant Hours is about a young woman evacuated during the war from London to go and live with Juniper Blythe and her family. And then 50 years later, Eddie is drawn back to the house and the eccentric sisters who are there. I mean, this could go either way again. I'm not normally a fan of war fiction, so we'll see where I fall with this one. I don't really know why I bought so many books by an author I'd not read. I mean, they were only £1, so I just kind of bought a bunch of them. They sounded exciting, and now that I know the way the mystery is built, it doesn't work for me, then it's one of those things, isn't it? So let's go dive into this one, and I will see you on the other side. So I like this one a lot more. I've read the first 18 pages, which is the epilogue bit and the first chapter. I liked this one more. I definitely think I will potentially continue this one. So this one's going to go back on the shelves. This one has a much more atmospheric vibe to it, which suits the prose style more to me than the other ones did. It's not even a much older setting. Homecoming is the 50s, The Secret Keeper is the 60s, this is the 40s. It's not like it's a huge amount of time disparity. It just, for some reason, seems to be suiting me better, the atmosphere of this and the way that this one is being told. I'm actually interested to know what happens. I can't guarantee that obviously once I get halfway into the book I'm still going to feel that way, but as it currently stands, the first chapter has me interested enough to keep it on my shelves. That does mean that we are left with the last one, the reason that I picked up Kate Morton in the first place, and the one that I am most excited to try. And this one is set between 1924 and 1999. We have a glistening society party in a grand English country house where a young poet takes his life, and the only witnesses, sisters Hannah and Emmeline Hartford, will never speak to each other again. And then in 1999, Grace Bradley, one-time housemaid at Riverton Manor, is visited by a young director making a film about the poet's suicide. So we're going to again have the dual timeline, and obviously we're following a maid, and then we are also following people in the manor in the 1920s. So I am hoping that we have a, as it said on the tin, a murder mystery Downton Abbey mashup. So here's hoping that I enjoy this one as much as I anticipate. And then it's a 50-50 for Kate Morton, which isn't too bad. So let's see how this one goes. So for this one, I read the first 19 pages, which is the first 2 chapters. I was going to stop at 1 chapter because obviously I've only been doing 1 chapter. I still hadn't really made up my mind because it was a very short chapter and it didn't really give you anything to go on, good or bad. So I thought I'd give it another chapter, and I still don't know. I feel like it's going to be a while before I know if this is one that I want to read. So this one can go back on the shelf because I don't feel like I disliked anything. And then it will probably be another one where if it comes up in the jars, I will read through, and if I get to a point where I'm not enjoying it, I will DNF later on in the book, or I'll enjoy it and read it. I can't imagine that either of the 2 that I am keeping are going to be ones that after I've read I'm going to keep anyway. They are ones that I will read them and that will be it, but at least it's something, and I'm hoping that I will still have a good time with these. As of yet, the ones that I have sampled, The Distant Hours definitely comes out on top, with The House at Riverton coming in second. And then I would probably say it's Homecoming, and then I would say it's The Secret Keeper. I don't know what that says about The Secret Keeper because I've DNF'd Homecoming. But I'm getting rid of 2 and I am keeping 2. So a good balance, I suppose. It's not that I dislike the author's works or writing style. I just think that the writing style is very specific and very particular, and it suited what it's trying to do in these for me more than what it's trying to do in these. So with that being said, I can actually now go on and read some books that I want to be reading properly instead of just trying a chapter. Angles have changed because I've moved around, but I have continued reading La Mano de Fatima by Ildefonso Falcones, and I am now on page 416. I have read today's section as well. I read it this morning. I am just chipping away at it, and at the moment that's kind of what it feels like. Like, I'm not disliking it. It's not enough that I'm like, oh, I need to DNF this, but also I am just really reading it methodically. Like, at no point is there a part where I am closing in on my next section and I'm like, maybe I'll read another chapter or something. And yeah, I'm just reading a part a day, and it's very methodical. I think that Hernando is not the strongest protagonist I have read from Ildefonso Falcones. Granted, I have only read 1 other book by him, but I just don't feel very strongly about Hernando as a protagonist. In this instance, I'm not connecting with the characters enough to care about their personal plight. And therefore, when you're making a story that is about individual people's experiences with this larger scheme, I need to care about the individual people, because it's not exploring the larger scope of everything that was happening in Spain at this time. But at the same time, I'm not connecting with the characters to really fully understand their individual plight. So it's a very weird one that I am experiencing a bit with this one. I just wish I was invested emotionally as much as I was intellectually. I am 10% into A Reign of Emerald Fire, and mercifully, I am actually enjoying this one. The first first freaking thing of this vlog that I am actually enjoying. Hallelujah. But I'm having a good time with it. I think that for me personally, I needed this book right now. Like, maybe if I was in like I need an epic fantasy right now, I need to be like super immersed kind of story, then maybe this one wouldn't work for me. But thankfully I've got Malazan, and I've got another Cosmere, and I've got Earth's Children on my TBR for probably next week. I've just finished Red Rising, so I don't need anything epic. I don't need anything really deep. This one is dense. All of the Kate Morton ones, they're flowery, so I don't need any of that. I needed some fun. Gosh, this is fun. I'm having such a fun time with the Reign of Emerald Fire, and that is what I needed right now. It's a D&D style story in which we are following a group of people who are being banded together by this disgraced commander, and he has a group of people that he wants to set on the right path that would then redeem him and potentially them. They're a crew of misfits. They are people who are in themselves in some way not in favor with the crown or with their community, and it's about like banding together. And like I said, it's D&D vibes. We've got a half elf, half dwarf. We've got this girl that is on the run from her father's clutches. Discord brewing in the kingdom, and I am really excited. Like I said, I'm 10% in. I've read 4 chapters and I'm hoping to make a really decent dent in it today, especially since I have now managed to get this bit done for the day. I'm hoping to have a better time. Hey vlog, it is Tuesday, so I figured I would check in. I am halfway through a Reign of Emerald Fire, and I'm having a good time with this one. One of the things that I will say for fun books is that I do always think of them as completely different. I could say something similar about the Odyssey Earth series by Rex Berg, for example. There's just a different quality to them, so I'm so glad that I am reading this while I am not reading other fantasy, because obviously this book, and I imagine this series when it all comes out, they're not going to be new favorites. They're not going to be series that, oh my god, I can't stop thinking about it, it's the best thing. They're ones that I will probably in the long run forget the story, forget some characters, but I will remember that I had a really fun time with. I'm starting to already feel that way about the Odyssey Earth series. I had such a fun time with it. I remember enjoying it. I remember laughing at it. I remember it being light and fun and easy to get through. I don't remember character names. There are definitely plot points that I'm like, which book did that happen in? And I only read them last year. I imagine that eventually this will be a similar thing with this series, but you know, I will continue to read installments in this series. I imagine I will continue to have fun with them. It's not going to be a new favorite, but while I'm reading it, I'm enjoying it, and that's the important thing I think for me with comedy light books instead of epic fantasy that's supposed to burrow into your soul. I am having a good time. I've said before, we've got 3 POVs in here. My favorite POV at the moment is a half dwarf, half elf. He is probably the most campy POV. You have the commander's POV, who is more satirical than anything else. It's kind of a different take on this archetype that we always get of like disgraced commander trying to redeem himself, blah blah blah. We also have the perspective of what is basically the damsel in distress, the princess, and I'm really enjoying that as well. Weirdly enough, there is a scene with the princess where she's been trying to escape and she's basically being held prisoner, and they're telling her, you know, oh, you need to get dressed and get ready or we will force you to. And for some reason, it felt like the comedy parody of one of the scenes that is in Witch Wife by Lumen Reeves, which was one of my favourite books of last year. Just for some reason, the juxtaposition of the two, where in Witch Wife, we have a similar scene of a woman who is held captive, who is in a room and she can't really leave that room, and it's fancy imprisonment and she doesn't want to obey, and they're like, well, we're going to force you to, and get dressed into these fancy clothes, and she's really depressed and she's suicidal. And then you have this in a tower who is locked up and is being forced to get dressed to make herself presentable, and the 2 scenes just matched up in my head, and for some reason that worked so well for me because it was fantastic to see this story satirizing tropes that I've seen in other books, because Lumen Reese's one was so impactful, and seeing a light and comedic side of it actually worked really, really well. So I'm having a really good time with it. The way it plays with tropes from the genre, I like the commentary that it has, but at the same time it is just also a fun read. Even if it wasn't pulling on tropes and scenes that we've seen before in the genre, even if it was just having fun with it, I would be fine with that because I'm also having fun with it. I've also continued with La Mano de Fatima. I am now past the halfway mark. I am on page 543. I am liking the amount of balance that there is between the interactions between the Moors and the interactions between the Christians. We're at a point now where my interest is really plateauing. I don't feel like I'm going to become any more interested. I'm past the halfway mark and I'm still not more invested. I still don't care more. So I don't think that I'm going to feel any more strongly about this book as it goes on. Either way, I don't think that it's going to do much that would make me despise it. I don't think it's going to do much that's going to make me suddenly fall in love with it. So I think this is just going to be an alright book, is the feeling I'm getting. But yeah, that's my update for today. I can't imagine I'm going to update you again today, which is so weird because it's so early. It makes no sense to update you again with A Reign of Emerald Fire until I'm finished. And I mean, hopefully I finish tonight, but even then I still wouldn't be updating you until tomorrow morning. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. I will catch you tomorrow because I am not feeling particularly strongly about any of my reads. Hey vlog, just a quick update. We are having a poorly day today. You'd think that I'd get more reading done than I have, but I haven't. I did finish A Reign of Emerald Fire yesterday. Again, a really fun read. It's not one that I have really strong feelings about because it wasn't meant to be. It's kind of like having really strong feelings about the D&D movie, you know, like that's not the point. But I enjoyed my time reading it. I definitely will continue on with the series when more installments come out. I know that this book got reprinted, so it's only just kind of been re-released. So I have no idea when the sequel would potentially be out, but I am excited to continue on at some point. And I think it'll be a really good palette cleanser book where you don't have to leave the fantasy genre and still don't have to necessarily go from dense read to dense read, which is lovely. I have also started Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher, and this one I am now on chapter 5. I'm not very far in, but this is the story. It's a retelling of, is it Bluebeard? I think it's called Bluebeard, which is a French fairy tale. And it's a retelling of that in which she has to marry this nobleman. In the original fairy tale, at least, she's his 7th wife, hence the title Seventh Bride. He leaves her in the house and he gives her a key, and she can enter any room that she wants to except one, and the key opens the doors to everything, and the curiosity overcomes her, and then she sees that he's got all his murdered wives in this room, and then he comes back to potentially murder her, but her family save her or something. There are lots of iterations of it. So this is a retelling of that. At the moment, she's not gotten married yet. She's been engaged to him. He's a lord. Her family are poor. She doesn't really have a say in the matter. Her family barely have a say in the matter. So she's going to have to marry him. She's only 15. They've made that creepy. It's not romantic. It's not, oh, you know, she's 15. She's getting whisked away by this lord. No, it's creepy. The dude is really, really freaking creepy. It's really good. That is the bit that kind of verges almost on like Dracula level paranormal horror. Just creepy. It's not quite gross, like they've not made it where it's like, I want to throw up, but it is like, oh god, that's not good. That's weird and that's creepy. Everything about this dude is creepy. I love that in so little amount of time we've managed to establish a decent connection with both the family and also her friend, which is really nice. And my favorite thing so far is that she feels like a real teenager, and not like YA teens where they're like adults that are melodramatic. She feels like a teenager. There's a lot of, I don't understand, I don't get it, why would this be a thing, I kind of need to obey. Like a lot of the, you know, you have been raised a certain way has been shown, and I liked that. There's a lot of showing how she's processing this, how she's 15 and doesn't want to be married. It discusses bits of the time period as well. The fantastical elements are very cool because they're quite background at the moment, and I imagine they'll potentially amp up later. So for the most part, I am excited to see where this is going to go and how T. Kingfisher tackles such a creepy story as it is, because she's very good with the horror element to it. But yeah, that's it for the update. I definitely won't be updating you again today because I am just vegetating. I'm hoping to get a decent way into Seventh Bride, but at the minute, I'm not going to lie, my priority is I'm watching Hamilton. We'll see how far in I get, but as long as I finish it by the weekend, it's fine. Anyway, that's it. I will hopefully catch you again tomorrow and feel a little bit less rough and have some more cohesive thoughts. Oh, I haven't read the Ildefonso Falcone's book yet. Actually, I should probably do that so I don't have to prolong that book or read a longer chapter later on. No updates there. Not that I would, I imagine, even if I read anything, because it's not the most compelling read. I'll check back in tomorrow. Hey vlog, it's Thursday, so I thought I would check in. I am still really poorly. I'm really sorry if this clip is really choppy, but I'm sniffling a lot, so I'm gonna cut that out for your sake. So if the video is choppy, know that the alternative is worse. But I am now 53% of the way into the Seventh Bride, and I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. And I was super excited to be getting to a T. Kingfisher, especially because this week has been a bit when it comes to the reading. But I'm slogging my way through La Mano de Fatima, which is not going well for me. I'm really not engaging with it the way that I want to be. And I don't know if that's a me thing or if that's a book thing. And I kind of, the reason I think it might be a me thing is, again, because I'm also not vibing with Seventh Bride. Like, I'm not, it's not that I'm disliking it. The writing is great. The character is realistic, if nothing else, and quite a believable character, even within this whimsical, fantastical setting. You have these fantasy characters that are done in a really interesting way. We're now at the part where we are very much in the Bluebeard retelling part. I'm enjoying what is being put forth, the concepts and the ideas and the way the retelling is done and the kind of creepy, spooky vibe to it. I think that's done well. I don't care. I don't care about anyone. There was a chunk there after where I last left you, until she got past the first task she needed to complete for this lord. Until the end of that, I was bored. I was really genuinely just bored. So that's the thing. I'm just not invested. I like our character and she's in this really awful position, but I don't care about her emotionally. I'm not emotionally invested. All these other women are very quirky, kind of like children's gothic stuff that you get, you know, like the Addams Family, or you get in like a Tim Burton movie where you've just got all of these characters that are slightly off kilter, slightly quirky, and that you find interesting. And that's cool, but again, no emotional investment. And obviously the creepy factor is there, but again, that's not engaging me enough for me to be like, oh my god, I'm enjoying this book. So there are things that I'm liking, but I'm just not loving. I'm just really not invested in this book in any depth at all. It's just fun, and that's fine. But I think because I was going in expecting there to be an emotional pull as well, because I felt that with Nestle and Bone, I really cared about the characters and their plight and cared about what they're going through. And it sounds really callous to say that I don't, but I don't care. But that's why I'm wondering if it's a me thing, if it's because I'm poorly. I came off my menses and the next day got this like really, really bad cold. It's kind of flu-like because they keep having to take paracetamol because otherwise they get, you know, the poorly body aches that you get. I've been getting that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a me thing because I literally went from one hell to another. My kid has been sick, so he's been home, and obviously then reading is a lot more disjointed. So I don't know if it's all of those kind of things coming together that is just making me not feel as invested. So I'll see how I feel by the end of the book, but it's a shame. It's a shame nonetheless. But I don't know if the books this week are just kind of sacrificial books to, like, they're sacrificed to my bad mood. I went from having low expectations last week with Red Rising to the point where I didn't start vlogging until I had read a certain amount of the first book to be sure that I'm not just going to be shitting on someone's favourite. That's how concerned I was about last week's books, to this week being actually really excited because I had a T. Kingfisher on here. Reign of Emerald Fire is still going solid. I have a T. Kingfisher on here, and I love T. Kingfisher. I was trying something new and I thought that would be light and kind of easy to get through with Homecoming, and an author I've been super excited for. I own 4 books by her. And then Ildefonso Falcones, who I have loved a book of his before. So, like, it seemed like easy bets, and I'm just having a rough time. I don't know what's going on. So once I get to the end of both of my reads, I'll wait until I've finished both of them, and then I'll just wrap them up and let you know my final thoughts. I don't even know why you're watching this vlog. If you are, thank you so much, because I have no idea why. But yeah, I will hopefully check in tomorrow evening, and I'll be able to actually give you some final thoughts on some of these books.
Hey vlog, so it's Friday and I'm here to check in to finish out this vlog because I have done all of my books. I have finished Seventh Bride. I finished it last night and my sentiments were somewhat the same. Like I appreciated it. I like the writing style. I like some of the things, the way that they were depicted, especially the fantastical / horror elements. I think they were handled well. The fairy tale element, I just never really got emotionally engaged. I liked the characters well enough. It wasn't that they were badly created, badly crafted. I just personally never got emotionally invested in any of these characters. And obviously then that's going to be detrimental to the level of enjoyment I had. So it's come out at like a 3.5. I'm going to round it up to 4 because I don't know how much of that, as I said, is just me being in such a mood because I'm so poorly. I've had a migraine all day, which is normal when I'm sick because obviously all the sniffles and stuff. It doesn't make it any more fun. So I am on a lot of meds as well, which again might be impeding my enjoyment, who knows. So I am rounding up to 4, but it was okay. Like I didn't dislike it, that I can't find any huge faults with it. It was just not one that I was hugely enamored with. I also found that the ending, the way it went, it's like, oh, that's where it would have begun to get interesting in a way. It's just one of those things that I enjoyed it but didn't love it. This one, however, La Mano de Fatima, this has been a slog all week. Such a slog. There's nothing inherently wrong with it enough for me to have DNF'd it. But now I'm at the end, it's like also it's like, wow, I slogged for this. Like it was fine. It was perfectly fine. And I can understand why fans of Ildefonso Falcones would love this. But I just didn't care. I just didn't care at all. And it's such a shame because I really wanted to become really emotionally invested in this and see this part of Spain, this time of history in Spain depicted when he does it. But it's a time period I've seen time and time and time again, and this is one now that very much like I am opposed to picking up any more Tudor fiction because I'm Tudored out. I am going to have to step away from reading anything that is Reyes Católicos based because it's not hitting for me. I will still continue to read the other things that I have by this author, especially because the other ones that I have are La Catedral del Mar, the Cathedral of the Sea, which is his most famous one. There is a TV show adaptation for that as well, so I will still continue on with the author, but this was meh. It's just scraped to 3-star, so one of those things. But that's it for the vlog. So this has been such a terrible vlog. I am so sorry. If you've stuck it out, well done. Thank you. I love you. We DNF'd Homecoming. That was not a good time. We've also done a try a chapter tag and I'm unhauling another one of her books. Then A Reign of Emerald Fire was good. I had a good time with that one. Seventh Bride was okay, not my favourite T. Kingfisher. It was fine. And then this one was a slug. So it's been a hella week and I'm just in the mood to read some fantasy now. So I'm gonna go start my next vlog. Hopefully have a better time in that one than I have been having this week. That is it for today. The next vlog is going to be me reading my obligation reads for January. So if you want to stick around, then I'd appreciate it, especially because the vlogs don't seem to do very well, but I enjoy them anyway. But that is all from me for today, so thank you ever so much for watching and I will hopefully catch you in another one soon. Bye.